Happens at half-time, of course, in every game of football, and players come into the changing rooms, and of course physios will look at any potential issues. They might even go through stretches, etc. But essentially they're coming back out for the second half to play at full pelt in for the cold. It was a comment that has raised a number of observations over the last 24 hours or so. Would he shift the warm-up to the point where there would barely be one? Now, it's hard to envision that happening in the Premier League anytime soon, but the point about players coming back cold from the half-time whistle was an interesting one, because you're sitting in a dressing room for 15 minutes and then you're right back out there at full pelt again.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, that. One thing I spotted in the warm-up was there was some defensive work, jockeying positions, jockeying a player on the ball. It was quite intense, it was quite high speed. There was a lot of twisting and turning. I was looking at knees and thinking, wow, is that really what they should be doing? But I mean, I'm obviously no expert on that.
That was the intensity that caught my eye a couple of weeks ago when I covered the Arsenal game, you know, and there was real intensity about what they're doing. From my point of view, I thought, brilliant, these players are ready for the starting whistle. Boom, they're coming out of traps a bit lively. But the bottom line is, you can't lose players through injury, not in your own warm-up leading into games. It's too readily happening for Arsenal.
Very interesting one to keep an eye on. The Arsenal warm-up, 4 injuries. Arteta's noticed it, he's having a look at it, he may be making changes, but no changes to the lineup as far as we're aware right now. No problems from the warm-up tonight here at Molineux, which is full enough of fans to watch this Premier League game, and it's a game that could see Arsenal make that one little step closer to the Premier League title. Players are out there shaking hands. Wolves are bottom, Arsenal are top. This should be a formality. Wolves have won only 1 game, Arsenal 17. Wolves have lost 19 games, Arsenal just 3. Wolves' goal difference is minus 32, Arsenal's is plus 32. Shock of the season if the Gunners don't win this. It's Wolves against Arsenal. It's live and exclusive on TalkSport with former England captain Stuart Pearce alongside your commentator Joe Shannon.
Thanks, Adrian. Well, Arsene Wenger used to say that the only way to score is with the handbrake off, and with 12 games to go, the prospect of a First League title in 22 years, perhaps attack is the best form of defence for Arsenal. Their destiny is in their hands on 4 different fronts, of course. We may be witnessing an Arsenal side unmatched for a generation. Now is the time for them to prove it. Now is the time for Arsenal to play like champions. And there's a handshake between Mikel Arteta and Rob Edwards, the Wolves manager. Wolves have played anything but like champions so far this season already. 18 points from safety. Is there really any case for a Wolverhampton Wanderers victory tonight, Stuart, or is it just impossible to see it?
Joe, they've got to take their chances when they come, which I think will be fairly few and far between, and they've got to defend set plays manfully. I think they're the 2 commodities they need tonight.
Well, the rain is suddenly tipping down here at Molineux beneath the floodlights in the freezing cold, and actually credit to the Wolves fans. A lot of them have arrived relatively late in the evening, but given the record that they have this season, just a single Premier League win all campaign, and the stadium, as Adrian was saying, is relatively full for the occasion, and there are 3,000 Arsenal fans in the lower tier of the Steve Bull stand on the far side of the field. Wolves have Jose Sarr in goal, Mosquera, Santi Bueno and Krejci at the back, Chachua, Angel Gomez, Andre, Mane and Hugo Bueno in midfield, Bellegarde and Armstrong up front, and for Arsenal the goalkeeper is Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Hincapié, Rice and Zubimendi, Madueke, Saka and Martinelli behind Gyökeres up front. Mikel Arteta decked out in his usual combination of black jacket and grey trousers. He's gone to sit down in the technical area now, ahead of what should be, on paper, a fairly straightforward evening to come for Arsenal. But evenings in the Premier League are not always like that. If Wolves can spring a surprise, it would be the shock result of the season so far and give real hope to Manchester City in the title race. Arsenal have control. They can go 7 points clear with a win tonight as Wolves get the game underway from right to left in the first half in the old gold and black. Arsenal in the red and white, their familiar colours for both teams. Declan Rice has hooked the ball out of play. There's a rather sweeping wind all around the stadium tonight, and I can see that the corner flags are billowing away. Gabriel hoists the ball downfield for Arsenal. It's really whipping up the rain. These are dreadful conditions in many ways, as Wolves with Mosquera out on the right-hand side, hacks the ball into touch, and it's an Arsenal throw on the far side of the field. Arsenal playing from left to right in the first half towards the single-tiered Sir Jack Hayward stand, which is where most of the most vocal Wolves fans are located, and Wolves are playing from right to left. Early ball into the near post is gathered by Jose Sarr, who has been actually at the heart of Wolves' relative improvements in recent weeks. They've only lost 3 of their last 8 Premier League games, and they had lost a club record 11 successive in the top flight prior to that. A downward header away by Gabriel for Arsenal. Martinelli in the left wing position, blocked off by Mosquera. Arsenal get the throw, which they take quickly. Hincapié hurls the ball down the left-hand side. Martinelli is after it. Mosquera forcing him towards the corner flag. Martinelli goes down. No free kick. Stuart Pearce, Arsenal going for the early goal.
Yeah, good start by Arsenal. We talked about the warm-up. You get involved in the warm-up, yes, to get the body nice and warm, but also as well psychologically to be on the front foot as such, and Arsenal certainly have been that.
Krejci to Angel Gomez, the former Manchester United man, gives it away for his new club Wolves. Krejci then hammers the ball high downfield as the diminutive Gomez gets away with his error, nudging the ball up towards the halfway line. Arsenal quickly win it back. They have a fantastic record away at Wolves. Won 13 of their last 16 visits to Molineux, albeit the reverse fixture was quite a close affair in mid-December. Arsenal needed that injury time own goal from Mosquera to seal all 3 points. Gabriel midway inside his own half the field. The surface is excellent tonight at Molineux. The ball is out of play on the far side. Martinelli couldn't keep it in, and Wolves have a throw, and as we expected, Stu, Saka has started in that central position with Martinelli out on the right for Arsenal.
Yeah, he certainly has. Martinelli on good form at the moment, and to be fair, I thought covering the game at the weekend, Madueke certainly, while he was on the pitch, was the best player on the pitch.
Excellent free kick and a brilliant take by Martinelli down the left for Arsenal. Whips in the early cross. Jose Sarr is there to take it off the head of Victor Gyökeres. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0 inside the 3rd minute here on TalkSport. Very good quick free kick by Declan Rice, hoisted upfield. Martinelli running onto it down the inside left. And the pullback was a little too loopy, perhaps. It didn't really have any pace on it, and relatively straightforward for the goalkeeper, all in black.
Yeah, it was an outstanding free kick, I've got to say. He's whipped it with his right foot into the inside left channel. Martinelli got onto it, but the one thing that impresses me with Arsenal, they're the away team. Normally you're looking to quieten the home team down. They're on the front foot from first moment here.
Absolutely, as you would have expected in a game like this. Madueke's gone down, holding on to his left ankle at the moment. He's quickly to his feet. Assistant referee was just behind him. Rob Edwards, the Wolves boss, watches on with his arms folded directly in front of our commentary position. Boos for Madueke, shuffles down the near side, the right. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. Madueke wearing gloves, pops it back to Zubimendi, and now Jurrien Timber in the right wing position. Back to Madueke to hook across in left-footed, a la Bukayo Saka, but this one is overhit. It reaches Martinelli out on the far side of the field. Arsenal dominating possession and territory in the early stages here. Martinelli on the drive, back to Declan Rice, whips in the cross. Saka got a touch and heads it beyond the goalkeeper, and Arsenal lead by a goal to 0 already. New contract, same old Bukayo Saka, and that was a poacher's goal. Ghosting in centrally to nudge it beyond Jose Sarr, and Saka's longest ever run without a goal for Arsenal is firmly over. Arsenal lead by a goal to 0.
Well, there was talk about Arsenal's warm-up. There's only one team that have been caught cold here, and that's Wolverhampton. A little dink into the box by Martinelli into the danger zone. The Wolverhampton backline, inclusive of the goalkeeper, just stood and watched it. But it looked as though Saka, in that critical position, just ghosted in there, got a deft of touches right in front of the goalkeeper. It was Declan Rice. He's just chipped it in there and said, there, get on the end of that one. And there you go. He's paid back a bit of that 300 grand a week this week.
Worth it. Worth every penny for Arsenal. And the academy graduate, the Hale End boy, has Arsenal in front already at Molineux. And it could be the start of a very long evening for Wolves, who barely had a kick in the opening 5.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes gone when Saka scored that goal. And I mentioned the drought. 15 games without a goal in all competitions coming into tonight. Well, that's firmly at an end this evening. Saka on the end of a cross. And Arsenal look very comfortable already, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, they do, but they've set the tempo for this game, Joe, haven't they? They've been on the front foot. They've turned Wolverhampton round on several occasions. When they've lost the ball, they've regained it very quickly, and the game's been played totally in the Wolverhampton half.
Madueke has possession, looks for Timber down the inside right. Timber drives it across goal. Gyökeres only needed a touch, and he might have made it 2-0.
Yeah, this is a football team at the moment, Arsenal, that are enjoying their football. Wolverhampton, on the other hand, a couple of individuals looking at each other, wondering who's picking runners up, that type of thing.
Well, the Arsenal fans are in fine voice at the moment, as you'd expect, against a team in the Premier League, Wolves, with a record that doesn't really bear thinking about. Still only on 9 points. Remember, the all-time record low in English football was Derby's 11 points, set in 2007-2008. So they still need at least one more win, Wolves, to better that. Or, of course, a trio of draws. They don't look like getting it tonight, even as early as the 7th minute. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1, and Arsenal 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League, albeit Manchester City will have a game in hand. Krejci gives it away for Wolves. Now Declan Rice is surging forward, up to the edge of the D. Rice places it just wide. Jose Sarr trouble enough to fling himself to his left-hand side. Boos from one or two of the home fans here at Molineux, but Wolves are playing like they're still in the dressing room, and Arsenal probably should be 2-0 in front.
Yeah, a couple of loose giveaways of possession by Wolverhampton, and this is an Arsenal team at the moment. You do not need to give them any encouragement whatsoever.
Well, the perfect start for Mikel Arteta, who has spoken about the pressure of the position that Arsenal are in and has described it as a privilege more than anything. Of course, looking at a potential quadruple this season. Here is Martinelli, midway inside Wolves territory, wriggles away from Bellegarde and Angel Gomez, and there will be a division between these two clubs next season, and there already looks to be an almighty chasm between them early on here this evening, live on Talk Sport in the driving rain. Arsenal leading by a 0-0. Whatever happens tonight, you can have your say on the sports bar, 03717 223344, to speak to Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy, who no doubt neither will be particularly happy with the scoreline so far. The ball is zipping across the surface just about. A lot of water on the pitch at the moment, though of course it being a Premier League surface, it's draining very well. Saka out towards the inside right, and Timber for Arsenal. Back to Saliba, and now Gabriel. Saliba, one of 4 survivors from the team that beat Wigan in the FA Cup at the weekend. Live on Talk Sport that was. Rice marauds out towards the left-hand side, sets up Martinelli in a one-on-one with Jackson Chichua. Martinelli pulls it back to the edge of the box, only half away by Mane. Now Zubimendi out towards the right, and Timber. Wolves are very passive in these early stages, lacking belief. Madueke nutmegs Hugo Bueno, tries the cross with the outside of his boot. It's going to be cleared away here by Krejci for Wolves, although he takes a couple of touches, plays a rather tentative ball forward to Angel Gomez, who knocks it back to Krejci, floats the ball downfield. Gabriel with a thumping header away. Arsenal look full of motivation tonight.
Yeah, they certainly do, and the FA Cup draw come out, and my old friend Nigel Clough and teammate, I dropped him a text and said, you know, good home draw for you, which I'm not sure he saw the funny side of, actually.
That'll be a special game, won't it?
Oh, brilliant game for Mansfield.
In the 5th round of the FA Cup, and of course all of the FA Cup action live across the Talk Sport network. Club Brugge 0, Atletico Madrid 1. in the Champions League playoffs tonight, and earlier Newcastle scored 6 away at Karabag in Azerbaijan, so certainly worth a long trip for the Newcastle supporters who did make it. 3 away wins in a row for Newcastle United now. Aberdeen 1, Motherwell 0 in the Scottish Cup is the latest score. Both teams are down to 10 men, and here, with 10.5 minutes played, it's Wolves 0, Arsenal 1 in the teeming rain. Angel Gomez deep inside his own half the field, shuffles forward, Saka behind him, knocks him to the ground, and that'll be a free kick to Wolves in the left-back position. Penny for the thoughts of Rob Edwards at the moment, Stu, down below us.
Well, how are we going to get out of our half is the one thing that will spring to mind. At the moment, his team have given the ball away loosely on the odd occasion, but a lot of that's coming from the Arsenal press. It's been so effective. They've turned the ball over in the opposition half on probably about 3 or 4 occasions already in the game, and we're only sort of 11 minutes in. Gomez has, for Wolverhampton, has just got, I think he's just been caught either on the neck or in the face by a Saka challenge.
On loan from Marseille, Angel Gomez only joined Wolves in the summer from Lille, and you will remember a few England caps, as many as 4 in his career, the last of them coming in November of 2024. So Gomez receiving treatment. More live football on the TalkSport network tomorrow. Fenerbahce against Nottingham Forest on TalkSport 2 is followed by Celtic against Stuttgart. Friday will bring you Blackburn against Preston on TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. And on Saturday night in the Premier League, it's over to Manchester City against Newcastle. That is our TalkSport commentary, and Stuart will be there on Saturday night. At the moment, it's Arsenal who are 7 points clear. Mikel Arteta's called his players over. A nerveless opening 12 minutes, certainly from Arsenal. And Saka now, early days, of course, Stuart Pearce, but is he thriving in that central role already?
I think he's enjoying the challenge. I think sometimes with players, just to it freshens them up a little bit, you know, to move them from one position to another. Just freshens you up. It gives you a different insight into the game as well. So for his development as a footballer, I think it's fantastic. I really do. Still not convinced that it's his best position. I think out wide on the right is, but with Madueke playing as well as he is, Saka gets more probably goal involvements, being more central as well. So that might be helpful to him, as we've seen tonight.
Angel Gomez back on his feet. Wolves temporarily down to 10. Have you warmed up yet, Stu?
I'm not bad, actually. Thanks, Joe.
Well, I'm very grateful for the gloves that you gave me before kick-off. Otherwise, I don't know whether we'd have a commentator or not. Long from Jose Sarr, header away by Timber. Ball drops down to the very talented teenager Mane, but he can't get hold of it. And that really sums up the play so far. Wolves cannot get on the ball, and Arsenal are very sharp. Their pass completion must be at or near 100% in these early stages. Hincapié in the left-back position. Quite a lot of competition for Arsenal in the left-back position at the moment, with Lewis Skelly, who had played at the weekend, and Calafiori, who was injured in the warm-up against Wigan, both on the bench. Hincapié, red and white shirt hanging untucked, looks for Martinelli. Infield from the left-hand side. Arsenal lead by a goal to 0. Live here on TalkSport. If you're just joining us, you're very welcome. Here is Gabriel. Everybody inside the Wolves half, bar Arsenal goalkeeper in green, David Raya. Out on the right-hand side is Madueke taking on Hugo Bueno. You fancy him to beat Bueno every time. Scoops in a lovely cross to the back post. Well taken again by the Wolves captain and goalkeeper Sarr.
Yeah, I think Sarr's done extremely well. A couple of crosses come in. He's come out. He's got good presence in there, and Wolves definitely need that.
Jose Sarr bowls the ball out immediately, very tentatively given away by Hugo Bueno. Angel Gomez is back on the field for Wolves, but they just can't stop Arsenal in possession at the moment. Saka towards the right corner of the penalty area. Timber limping slightly after a rather robust challenge on the near side by Angel Gomez. Now Saliba tucks the ball back to the halfway line, and Timber still struggling at the moment, trying to run it off. Arsenal trying to attack on the far side there, left in front of the hordes of travelling fans. Martinelli gets back against Bellegarde, and that's a Wolves throw on the halfway line, and Mikel Arteta monitoring the progress of Jurrien Timber closely.
Yeah, the most impressive part of this Arsenal performance so far is not what they've done in possession, it's what they've done out of possession, Joe. I mean, every time Wolves have got the ball and tried to build from the back, Arsenal have just strangled them. They really have, and just taken the ball off them too readily, I must say.
Well, they've long been seen, haven't they, Arsenal, as perhaps the best out-of-possession team in the Premier League, and now they are aiming to finish top of the tree. Arsenal, who won their last Premier League title 22 years ago. Since then, Manchester City have won 8 Premier League titles. Would you believe it? Gabriel with the angled ball out to the left-hand side. Martinelli with Hincapié making the overlapping run. Hincapié to the dead ball line, blocked off by Jean-Rigner Bellegarde, and then Chichua, who's got plenty of pace, beats Hincapié to the ball, nudges it against his shins, and that's out of play for a Wolves throw down by the corner flag on the far side. But Wolves are pinned back at the moment, don't look like they're playing with any great belief, despite this recent revival, you might call it, relatively speaking. Certainly when you look at the context of their season, it's been something like that. But they look afraid against this Arsenal team as Timber charges forward, stumbles on the slippery surface. Mane's there to win it back. Matheus Mane, the young great hope of this Wolves team, very quickly sees it whipped off his toes by Madueke. And now Saka sliding it down the right-hand side. Gyökeres in a crossing position, pulling it back to the near post, blocked off. Madueke takes over, curling shot, spilled by the goalkeeper. Martinelli on the rebound, can't tuck it in. And it really should have been a second for Arsenal. Goalkeeper couldn't hold the shot, it seemed to squirm out of his hands, Jose Sarr. And Martinelli hit the goalkeeper with the rebound.
Well, that chance once again got created, all because two players, not two players you would expect in an Arsenal shirt, to go hunting the ball down as Wolverhampton got it. It was Madueke and Saka. If you've got players like that hunting the ball down, turning over possession before Wolves can even get in their stride, you've got every chance, and from that come the attack and the effort at goal.
And wasn't it interesting watching Saka play that slide rule pass, exactly the type of ball that he played against Wigan at the weekend, one of them to set up Martinelli. Saka thriving in this adjusted role for the moment as Hugo Bueno nudges the ball back to Sarr. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now you can stream the Premier League flexibly with a Now Sports Day or month membership, 18 plus, streamed via internet. Terms and conditions apply. Good sliding challenge by Hincapié on Chichua out on the far side. Jackson Chichua, who arrived from Italian football in the summer, named as the fastest player in Serie A last season, beaten for pace this time by Hincapié. First real time that we've seen Wolves on the attack, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, it is. And listen, I'm quite pleased Arsenal are attacking that goal at the moment, because I've got my back to the wind while it's there. I've got to turn around and face the wind. But yep, they've got an opportunity. Long throw here.
Hurled into the penalty area by Mosquera, half flicked on by Krejci, steered upfield by Saka, away from danger. It bounces onto the halfway line. Wolves crowd are chanting shoot at Jose Sarr, who hammers it high downfield. Krejci stayed forward, wins the flick on into the penalty area, headed away by Hincapié. Free header for Krejci to nod it back in, flick clear by Zubimendi. Now it drops to Andre, who teases it wide out to the left. Mane whips in a good right-footed ball, headed away by Saliba for Arsenal. And now Timber will retrieve it out in the right back position, clatters the ball downfield. Gyökeres makes no attempt to reach it, but it's given away sloppily on the halfway line by Chichua, floated forward by Madueke. Out comes Jose Sarr, good starting position to head it clear, with Martinelli having to try and beat him in that race for the ball on the edge of the area. Now Angel Gomez has gone down again, and well, the referee doesn't have to stop it, but Arsenal sportingly do put it out of play. 1-0 to Arsenal. 19 minutes got on TalkSport, and here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I think Gomez will be coming off now. I take it it's a recurrence of that injury that he sustained in the challenge with Saka earlier. But once again, Wolverhampton guilty of their own downfall. Poor giveaway of possession, and it was only the skid on the pitch really that took it through to Sarr that stopped the attack from Gyökeres.
Grimsby 0, Walsall 1 is the latest score tonight in League 2. That game kicked off at 7:45. Wigan 0, Luton 0 is the latest score in League 1. Adam Armstrong has come out to the near side to get some instructions from Rob Edwards. I don't think he's touched the ball yet, Adam Armstrong, the former Southampton man, from what I can remember, the replacement for Jørgen Strand Larsen. And Wolves, understandably, Stuart, are preparing for life in the Championship. I think they've all but said that, haven't they, in terms of demonstrating it through the business they've done in January and the players who are in the squad at the moment.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I say, I don't think anyone's under any disillusions around here that they're going to have another campaign in the Premier League next season, but you've got to get everything in place as best you can, ready for next season, which is easier said than done. With your recruitment, yes, quite understand that. Finances, ins and outs, do we have to cut back somewhat in regard to the financial outgoings of the football club? That will probably naturally happen anyway. But tough times here for Wolverhampton.
And another issue for Rob Edwards here, as Gomez has to limp off injured, Angel Gomez, and on comes the big front man, Rocadare. And he scored his first Premier League goal in the reverse fixture, you might remember, at a moment where Wolves looked set to pick up the unlikeliest of points, only to see the lead evaporate in added time. So a Rocadare for Gomez, and certainly the number 14, 6'6", the Nigerian, will play furthest forward for Wolves in this 3-5-2 setup that they've got. And they give the ball back to Arsenal, returning the sporting gesture, and Arsenal keep possession on the near side with Saliba. Nearly midway through the first half, Rob Edwards pacing about in his technical area. Rain still falling here at Molineux, and Arsenal still lead by a goal to nil. Zubimendi tucks the ball towards the right. Saka caught, screaming there, Saka, as he was caught by Hugo Bueno. You might even have been able to hear that. Saka holding his ankle on the near side of the field. Arsenal still have possession. I think that Mikel Arteta and his assistant Albert Stuyvenberg are saying put the ball out of play. That's what Timber's done. Saka will need some treatment perhaps.
Yeah, I think both players arrived at the same time on the ball. Saka felt quite aggrieved. He's had his ankle jarred. Just looking at a replay of that at the moment. Yep, and he's almost kicked through Bueno, if truth be known. He's kicked onto Bueno, sort of the toe of his boot, actually. Quite painful, but he's okay.
£300,000 a week, the new contract, which will keep him at Arsenal, the club that he has been at since the age of 7, until at least 2031. Saka now Arsenal's highest paid player.
Or at least until Arsenal want to sell him.
Well, they seemingly used to have a track record of doing that in the latter part of the Arsene Wenger years, selling their best players, but Arsenal have produced a squad which I think it would be difficult to argue against being the best in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think where Arsene Wenger was good, though, at selling the players just before they went over the top and outdone their use at the club.
Good ball by Timber down the right for Gyökeres, who pulls it back across, turned behind by Mosquera. Corner to Arsenal in front of the Sir Jack Hayward stand. Bodo Glimt 1, Inter 0 in the Champions League tonight. Bodo Glimt, who you might remember earlier in the season, shocked Manchester City. And they lead by a goal to nil in the Arctic Circle against Inter. Wolves with plenty of defending to do here. Wolves who have just 9 points from their 26 matches, and a solitary victory in early January against West Ham United here. Arsenal with plenty of red shirts forward for the corner.
This is how comfortable Arsenal are in this attack. They've got a corner and every Arsenal outfield player is within 20 yards of the Wolverhampton goal. No fear at all, is there, in their play.
Saka will take it, left-footed and in-swinging into the near post, headed on by Martinelli, and it's looping over the top of the crossbar. Arsenal unable to add to their 18 set-piece goals scored this season in the Premier League. Meanwhile, there's a goal at Meadow Park in the Women's Champions League. Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 1, Lovren 0. It's Alessia Russo who's broken the deadlock here. A really lacklustre game, of course. Arsenal winning 4-0 for the first leg. That puts them 5-0 up. And Joe, they're showing no sign of losing that loving feeling. It's Arsenal 1, Lovren 0.
Thanks, Ian. A good night to be an Arsenal fan, it would seem. So far, anyway. 25 minutes in here, and Mikel Arteta's team are very comfortable, leading 1-0. Saka converting from Rice's cross. There's a free kick to Wolves, midway inside their own half at the moment. They have picked up a little bit, Stuart, of late, Wolverhampton Wanderers, but there just doesn't seem to be any real belief in the team going forward.
There doesn't, no. And this is what I wouldn't have done if I was a goalie, play anything short at the moment, because Arsenal are all over the top of them, running all over, and the ball's ended right back at the goalie again in his own penalty box from having a free kick in the mid-band.
Good tussle between Saliba and Arokadare. Saliba with a short back pass, out comes Raya, sliding across the turf to hammer it away, going right through Jean-Ric Bellegarde. That'll be a throw to Wolves, midway inside the Arsenal half.
I'll tell you what, that was top quality goalkeeping, by the way. Raya's identified that there's an opportunity there, and Bellegarde's gone through. Other goalies, I'm telling you now, would have probably stayed at home on that one. He's come flying out and made the forwards mind up for him.
Long throw hurled into the penalty area by Mosquera. Wolves 1-0 down. It's hooked away by Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal. Mosquera, the tall, slender centre defender, nudges the ball through the legs of Madueke, but out of play for an Arsenal throw. Madueke gets a high five from Mikel Arteta. We are in the very front rows of the upper tier here in the main stand, and virtually level with the halfway line. Got a good view of both technical areas. Rob Edwards barking instructions at his Wolves players.
It's very rarely that I watch games and think to myself, well, both teams, I can see a way of both teams scoring. I can't see a way of Wolverhampton getting into this game or scoring. Something's just got to come totally out the blue, because at the moment they can't even get the ball into the opposition half.
Barely had a touch, if any, in the Arsenal penalty area at all in the first 27 minutes so far. Just a couple of touches, I'm being told, by our producer. Saliba on the halfway line with the bright green boots on. Such a player of effortless elegance, Saliba, but he's a proper defender too. You get the sense that he just loves the art of defending, William Saliba.
Yeah, as soon as any balls are played straight, this back four of Arsenal, especially the two central defenders, are touch tight, and they're hooking round trying to disrupt all the time. Great defending.
But they had a great back four, back five in 98, 2002 and 2004, the last time Arsenal won the Premier League title. Little dink forward by Zubimendi down the right, gets it back from Jurrien Timber. Zubimendi dummies the ball to let it go across his body away from Arokadare. Now Gabriel playing in a midfield possession at the moment. Gabriel with Saliba square, Hincapié out to the left-hand side. Hincapié waiting for the run of Martinelli. Martinelli hugging that far side left touchline in front of the Arsenal fans. Back to Declan Rice, who's set up one goal already tonight. 1-0 Arsenal lead. Gabriel square to Rice. They're being given a lot of time on the ball, almost right up until the final third here, Arsenal. Rice 25 yards out. Square to Saliba. Saliba looks up in the driving wind and rain. Timber, angled ball to the right-hand side, and Madueke. They must have played 10-15 passes in this move alone. Gyökeres waiting for the cross from Saliba, headed away, drops back out to Hincapié, who nudges it back into the box. Mosquera nudges it clear. No foul on Gyökeres, and it's scooped long by Chichua. No ambition, no energy from Wolves at the moment in the game. Well, this is as comfortable a 1-0 lead as you're likely to see in the Premier League.
Yeah, the run of play is just absolutely incredible, to be honest with you. On the run of play, the game probably deserves to be 3 or 4-0, but credit to Wolves maybe. Arsenal have not created too many clear-cut efforts.
Martinelli's whip cross into the penalty area from the left takes one bounce and is gathered by Jose Sarr. Saka was tying his laces as that attack was taking place. Sarr thunders the ball downfield. It's over the head of Arokadare, and Saliba just caresses the ball onto the right foot. And more shouts of frustration from the Wolves fans, who, as I say, credit to them, on a very cold night, are here this evening. It's certainly not full, the Molineux, but it's not been full for quite some time, and you can totally understand that. Rice, lip of the centre circle, square ball to Saliba, angled pass to the right-hand side. Madueke taking on Hugo Bueno in a one-on-one, pulling it back to Zubimendi. Zubimendi now to Gabriel, just forward of the centre circle. Hincapié touches it on to Saka, who's peeled out to the left. Saka infield to Declan Rice. At the moment it feels a question of how many Arsenal can get. Hincapié in on the inside left, jinks beyond two, crosses high, Madueke trying to knot it down, only half away by Wolves, and then Krejci puts his foot through it, scoops it towards the halfway line. Mosquera is down, he's holding his head, and the referee Paul Tierney has stopped the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, Hincapié there, absolutely brilliant. Flummoxed two Wolverhampton defenders and put a brilliant cross into the danger zone. And once again, Wolverhampton half clear it, and it's Arsenal squeezing on central defenders within probably 35 metres of the opposition's goal, making sure anything that comes out, we sustain the attack.
Well, boos from the home support and indeed the away fans for the referee Paul Tierney here. He's got to decide what to do. He's going to get it back here, the referee, the game having been stopped while the ball was still in play. Mosquera's gone off the field. Even though he didn't need to receive any treatment, the physio has run all the way across the pitch, and confusion reigns here at Molineux. Well, that all seems totally unnecessary.
Yeah, as I say, the guidelines for any head injuries, the referee has to go through the protocol.
Rice galloping forward into the penalty area. Martinelli to the left. He can't keep it in play, can he? He's knocked it out for a Wolves throw. Did prevent it from going behind for a goal kick. And Mosquera, well, he is going to come on. And absolutely right that, of course, all the protocols are followed. But he's still waiting for a call to come back on here, Mosquera. Surely the phase of play is done and he should be on.
Well, while he's off, he just will take the throw in, to be honest with you.
He could do. And he is going to do that. It's like they're listening to you, Stuart.
Just seemed common sense to me. The voice of reason, Joe. Unbelievable.
That's exactly what he's done. Given away, though, by Mosquera from the throw. Martinelli towards the left corner of the penalty area. Arsenal lead 1-0 in the 33rd minute on Talk Sport. All the reaction tonight in the sports bar from 10 03717 22344, and it continues tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. The reaction on Talk Sport Breakfast with Alan Brazil and Gabi Agbonlahor tomorrow. Martinelli looking for Madueke with his back to goal, beaten to it. Now Rocadare over the halfway line, caught by Gabriel. No foul given by the referee. Looked a free kick. And Rocadare has gone down, holding on to his right foot, right ankle. Arsenal keep possession on the far side, their left.
Yeah, the referee's been pretty consistent here. He was probably caught, but listen, he's just been caught on the back of the ankle probably. He's gone down like he's been shot, to be fair. He's up again, but the referee's been pretty consistent for both teams, you know. He hasn't stopped play for any challenges that he didn't deem were free kicks.
Here is Timber with a right wing cross, headed away by Mosquera, loops up off Declan Rice, punched away by the goalkeeper. It'll drop down towards the edge of the box. No foul by Martinelli on Armstrong this time. Zubimendi, feistiness now in the game, and extra noise in the crowd. It's got the Wolves fans going. Whipped in high by Martinelli. Madueke with a downward header wide of the near post.
Well, I don't know why the fans are booing the referee. They want to take a leaf out the referee's demeanour and start getting a bit aggressive with Arsenal, because at the moment Arsenal are treating them like a schoolboy team, to be quite honest with you, and they need to do something to break the game up. And you don't need a 6'6" centre forward going over at the referee saying, look at me foot, I've been kicked.
Well, surely somebody's got to put a tackle in to try and get the crowd behind Wolves here. Nothing really for the home support to get behind in the first 34 minutes, though it is just a slender 1-0 lead for Arsenal. Another goal at Meadow Park in the Women's Champions League. TalkSport's Ian Abrahams.
33 gone, Arsenal 1, Lovren 1, at least some pride for Lovren. Sarah Putsai swiping the ball home after a VAR check the last of the couple of minutes goal was given. Arsenal 1, Lovren 1, 5-1 to Arsenal on aggregate.
And it's time for Wolves to fume again, because this time Mane's been penalised.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that decision, I've got to say. Been supportive to the referee, although we got that the wrong way round. But here come Arsenal again.
crunching challenge by Mosquera on Martinelli. And Mosquera, I think, with a word for Martinelli as he was lying on the ground. Martinelli very gingerly, slowly starting to get to his feet. It was a firm challenge, robust, but a fair one it looked from this angle.
This is what Wolverhampton need to do to bring the crowd to the party, to get some atmosphere in Molineux.
Well, they want more from their team, the Wolves fans. They deserve more. In by Hincapié, high into the penalty area, cleared away by Krejci, only as far as Jurrien Timber. The rain getting heavier and heavier, being really whipped up by the wind here. Very cold conditions at Molineux tonight. Madueke infield to Saka. In fact, we've got snow now at Molineux. Saka's giving it away. Jean-Ric Bellegarde up to the halfway line. Gabriel there to win it back for Arsenal. Certainly there is a bite in the game at the moment, almost out of nothing, but it is still Wolves 0, Arsenal 1 for the latest odds you can head to Ladbrokes. I'll give you those odds in full in just a moment. Madueke down the inside right, blocked off, is he by Hugo Bueno? No. Hugo Bueno couldn't shepherd the ball out of play. Now he tussles with Madueke. In goes Bellegarde with a challenge that looked a little risky. Hacked upfield by Krejci. Rocadare trying to turn away from Saliba. Saliba gets there first, but concedes the free kick. Biggest cheer of the night from the Wolves fans as they get the decision from referee Tierney.
Well, it took us 36 minutes for Wolverhampton to turn round and say, you know what, I need to show a little bit of fight and fire in my belly for these fans that have turned out on an awful evening. And thank goodness they've done that. They feel as though they've been wronged by the referee, but at least they made a challenge and put Arsenal on the back foot.
Snowy Molineux. The latest odds with Ladbrokes, Wolves 25-1, Arsenal 16-1 on, the draw at 10-1. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org. Free kick on the halfway line to the team in old gold and black. Wolves playing from left to right. Hugo Bueno's long sleeve shirt billowing in the wind here as he clatters the ball downfield. It's swinging from left to right and scooped up into the air by Krejci into the Arsenal penalty area. Saliba was all over Santi Bueno there, and then Arsenal get the free kick for a foul on Hincapié.
As I say, this is what the Wolverhampton fans want. They want to show that the players really care, and for 30 odd minutes it's been the contrary, isn't it, Joe, really?
Well, they haven't really shown enough fight, and nobody on a football pitch, Stuart, stops you from running, do they?
Exactly, running, tackling, you name it.
They've lost 10 of their 13 home Premier League games this season, Wolves. They've only lost more top division home games twice in any single season, and that, or one of those, was in the 1960s, so there aren't many parallels to just how poor this Wolves season has been. Bodo Glimt 1, Inter 1 is the latest score in the Champions League. Stuart.
And the only concern here for Arteta is his team had dominated the game. They're in front on the scoreboard, but he would have liked a second goal to make him feel a little bit at ease, because he'll know full well that Wolverhampton cannot play this badly in the second half.
Well, they probably should have had 2 or 3 tonight so far, Arsenal. Half-time in League 2, Grimsby 0, Walsall 1, but Walsall are down to 10 men. And likewise half-time in League 1, where it's Wigan 0, Luton 0. Newcastle 6-1 winners at Qarabag in the Champions League earlier. We've got more live football for you tomorrow. Fenerbahce against Nottingham Forest, and Celtic against Stuttgart, and Manchester City against Newcastle on Saturday night on TalkSport, and a host of top EFL football as well. Best way to be across it all is to download our free app. Hugo Bueno down the left-hand side for Wolves, nudges it further wide into the path of Mane. Couple of step-overs, Mane twisting, turning, crossing against Timber, who blocks the initial effort. Mane then retrieves the loose ball. Back to Krejci, squared in field. Saka has beaten Jean-Ric Bellegarde to it. Saka tearing over the halfway line here for Arsenal. Back comes Krejci, in goes Santi Bueno. 3 converging around Saka there in the old gold shirts, and Wolves do well to win it back. Why didn't they start like this, Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Well, as I say, they've certainly found something. They feel as though they've been wronged by the referee, I think, and all of a sudden the game's turned a little bit feisty, and it's helped Wolves.
Well, you think from a Wolves perspective, you're going down, why not give it a go?
Well, exactly that. The one thing they haven't done, they've got some fire in their belly. It's not improved their passing, Joe.
It's taken 40 minutes to show the minimum sort of fight that you need in a Premier League game, let alone against the team that are going 7 points clear as it stands. Arsenal, potential champions, leading 1-0. Forward to Mateus Mane, midway inside his own half the field. Mane swings at the ball, goes to ground. Zubimendi wins it back, but immediately gives it away. Hugo Bueno just shy of halfway. Arsenal have got to be careful that they don't get caught in a fight here.
Well, I think the team have got enough fight in them. And it's the first time I've seen two Arsenal players look at each other and say, why didn't you press from behind?
Hugo Bueno out on the left-hand side. He's meandering forward towards the corner of the left-hand penalty area. Hugo Bueno shimmies across into a central position. Now Mosquera from range. Angled ball out to the right. Jackson Chichua crosses and it hits the back of Hincapié. Flies into touch. Wolves throw on the far side.
Yeah, much better from Wolves. I mean, admittedly they set the benchmark very low, Joe, but this is much better. They're challenging.